My name is Jeff Gignac, and in this month I want to cover a little bit of what we did over the last week and just sort of add a couple exercises for the following week. So first of all, I asked you to deal with a word called try. Now, I've had you eliminate the word try from your vocabulary for 1 week. Now, what I want you to do is introduce it back into your language in a more creative way. I want you to continue to remove the word try from your vocabulary in all the ways that it may have messed you up in the past. So your use of the word try is different forever now. Okay? Now what I want you to do, though, is to look at the word try as an opportunity to do some really amazing things. One of the things that I like about the word try is that it fits really well into various hypnotic language patterns. One of the language patterns that it fits really good into is the more language pattern. Now, what is the more language pattern? Well, this is just a way to sort of connect cause and effect or chain a series of commands together. Here's an example of a more pattern. The more that you feel good, the more you'll notice your life improves. The more you do these exercises diligently every day, the more success you're having in your life. See how we connect those things together really quickly? It's a really wonderful pattern to either string cause effects together, and it's also a really good way to string some commands or suggestions together. Now, one of the things that I covered, in the forum, and I think I might have mentioned this at some point in time in your training, is that when we give commands or suggestions to people in sequence, for instance, if I give 2 commands in a row, the chances of a person following one of those commands are actually quite a bit higher than if I just give 1 command alone. So if I just give 1 command alone, there's a certain probability that people will accept it and move forward with it. Now, if I give 2 commands consecutively, there's a better chance that one of those commands will be followed than if I just give, the 1 command alone. All right? So, the way we can use try very creatively is to give 2 commands, but make one of them weaker. See, one of the things that we also know is that when we give 2 commands or 2 suggestions right in a row, okay, the strongest one, the human mind will follow. In other words, there's a huge tendency for the unconscious and the conscious mind to follow the strongest command in a sequence, right? And maybe sometimes even ignore the other command. So we can use the word try to make one command very weak, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so for instance, when I used to do hypnosis shows on stage, we'd have people up on stage, and I would have them close their eyes, and when their eyes are closed, I would say something like this. I would say, the more you try to open your eyes, the more you find your eyes shut tightly. It's the more pattern. Okay, stringing commands together. And I've used the word try to make one of the commands very weak. Okay? Does that make sense? So, here it is again. The more you try to open your eyes, the more your eyes shut tightly. Now. Sometimes throwing in a now at the end is useful. It's a command to do it now, right? Now, remember your month 2 training. In your month 2 training, in one of the videos I gave you, we talked about tonality as well, right? We talked about tonality where, if I finish a sentence with an upwards inflection, or if I finish a sentence with a statement, a steady inflection, or if I, round it down, okay, how the mind interprets that. Now, we know that upwards inflections always kind of are perceived as a question. Flat tonality is like a statement. And the unconscious mind perceives a downward inflection as a command. So, we can also incorporate this knowledge into making one of our commands weaker. or stronger for that matter. Okay, so for instance, let's take the the more you try to open your eyes. Okay, so I could say the more you try to open your eyes, the more you find your eyes shut tightly. So what did I do there? I used a pattern of upward inflection that kind of did end up, settling on a statement, but it was more of a upward inflection. Okay, so using my inflection, I made the command that I associated the word try with even weaker by finishing it with an upwards inflection. And I enhanced the stronger command, the more your eyes are shut tightly, with a downward inflection. So now you have two things that you can use to use the word try to emphasize, to make one command weaker and one suggestion weaker, and make the other one much more stronger, greatly increasing the probability that the stronger command is absolutely going to be followed. So how can you use this? Well, what I want you to do this week, and this week, by the way, you're going to get some practice sheets and some guides to follow. I didn't want to give you a lot of stuff in the first week because, like I said, I wanted this your first week to be an opportunity to catch up and sort of get used to things. So we're going to put you a little bit more to work this week.